Is it still there, Jeff? Does it ever go away?
In part, no, it never completely goes away. I'll probably have to live with it for the rest of my life. I wish it would go away. I wish there was some way to completely get rid of the compulsive thoughts, the feelings. It's not nearly so bad now that there's no avenues to actually act on it. But no, it never seems to go completely away.
So the thoughts still come to you?
Sometimes, yeah. Are
you different, Jeff, in terms of how you think back on all of this?
I would hope I'm different. I'm glad that I'm in a position now where I don't feel the compulsion to do these things. I'm glad that it's over. Any words I say to the victims' families are just going to seem trite and empty. I don't know how to express the regret, the sorrow, that I feel for what I've done for their sons. I can't find the right words. All right, see you later, Dad.
After the interview at the prison, Dahmer casually showed us something a little unsettling.
Just a point of interest, that's the type of box.
This is the type of box?
Exactly.
He wanted us to know that box looked strikingly like the one his father had found, the one Jeffrey had used to hide body parts.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, he's quicker to respond this time. He's showing some passion. He's still very Midwestern when he says, in part, it never goes away. And if you watch those lip retractions, Chase always talks about this, these lip retractions where he needs approval as he's walking through this. Those are characteristic for him. He also does a lot of that. Remember, I started this whole thing off by talking about he looks down right, down left, down right, down left, and kinesthetic. That's just who he is. This is, however, the most passionate and detailed we have seen him in any of the things we looked at. Listen to his words, listen to what he says, but also look how far away from his father he is. There's a real lip compression and a retraction at the same time, pulling his lips back. It's sometimes do the feelings come back when he says yes. Then he shifts gears to something. I ran construction for a lot of years, and I removed these words from my construction manager's vocabulary. Hope, feel, and believe. Those are church words. Those have no place in factual conversation because I don't care how you feel. I don't care what you think matters. What you know matters. What you can see matters. Those are ways to escape away from any kind of responsibility. You see it all the time in construction. When he says, I am glad I'm constrained, it looks genuine, and his face kind of pushes to the center to show disgust. His musculature and structure doesn't show real pronounced disgust, but you can see it still. And then my favorite of the whole thing, when he hugs his father, if that's not disdain, I don't know what the hell it is. You can't miss it. That's why I think there's seething rage in this guy. And then the final broken toy is, hey, that's where I used to keep my friends, in that box. It's pretty creepy. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, amazing. Interviewer joining in on the it ideal. Again, I think that's just a softening. It's just to help him tell the story. I would hope I'm different. I've got the same underlined here. Greg, yeah, I'm not going into a room with somebody who hopes their behavior is going to be different. I want to know you for sure that you know it's different. He says, I don't know how to express the regret and the sorrow. So again, you know, alarm bells ring for me because not being able to feel regret is something we might experience with somebody who's who's being put down as psychopathic. So, you know, is that a possibility? Well, another possibility is he's not been taught how to feel those things. We learn how to. We all have emotions, whether we like them or not, unless you're remiss to have the part of your neurology that's going to better produce some or all of those emotions. But how we're trained to express them, when to express them, that's to do with our upbringing. That's to do with the groups that we're part of. So it may be a sense of nurture there that means he doesn't quite know how to express those things. Also, there might be a neurotype that is more interested in things and not feelings, and you know that neurotype is apart from psychopathy. So you wouldn't want to mistake one for the other. There's a great group of people out there who are super interested in things and have a little bit of a problem going, what are these feeling things that are going on here? And then after that, he does get into one of his things, which is, oh, look, a box like my box that I used to keep severed heads and genitals in. Now, what's great there is the father puts his hand on the back shoulder there, a suppressive gesture, and you'll see the disgust and disdain come across the son's mouth at that suppressive, governing, controlling gesture as the dad tries to hold him back or hold him down and go, don't talk about the box, son. Let's not go down there. I thought we'd dealt with all of that, and now I thought we'd sold a whole bunch of books and I'd made myself out to be a good guy, and now you're doing the whole story about me wanting to look inside the box at the... I mean, that's an interesting... No, I won't go into that, but that's interesting stuff. You go round to your son's house and it's like you managed to track down the box that's in the cupboard in his bedroom and you want to have a look into it. It's like there's a whole bunch of stuff going. There's too much curiosity going on there for my liking. Anyway, Chase, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, I agree. And there's one line in here where he says, I would hope so. And we talk about this. If you're a subscriber, you hear us mention this on occasion. This is the reverse. This is him being comfortable with uncertainty, which I think is an indicator of truthfulness, because he's not trying to sell you on the idea that, yeah, I'm completely fixed. And I think this is one of the, if not the most genuine serial killer interviews that's out there. There's some dissociative language, but I don't think he's trying to pitch anything to us. I think that's how he views it himself, and he's just being honest about it. And anybody thinking that one thing makes a person a violent psychopath is ridiculous. It's a cumulative effect. If you're born with a gene that makes you more likely to get cancer, and then you eat 60 pounds of Cheetos every day your whole life, there's an accumulation there. So some genetic factors may play a role in likelihood, and that's all we're really looking at is likelihood. So everything throughout a kid's life and throughout even an infant is increasing or decreasing likelihood of developing some kind of psychopathy. And when I say kind of psychopathy, human beings are not math equations and we're not formulas. So like saying the DSM is a great book to diagnose mental disorders, it's not a Bible and it's not a math reference manual. Some people are just screwed up and there's all kinds of stuff going on. And I think that's what we're seeing. Scott, what do you got?
I agree with you. This was the most emotion he showed so far. And I think there was a lot of it there. I think he does feel bad about that. We don't see that with psychopaths. We've seen him pretend to feel that way, but we haven't seen all the little things that come along with that from a body language perspective that tells us that that's most likely true. And I think you nailed it there, Chase. There's something's up here. His attempt to keep everything in and keep everything tight and not show anybody anything goes back to him being alone all the time, I think, at his house. And I think of that fussing going on when he was a little kid and all that. I think that's what did it. I think that's he got in those odd fantasies and stuff happening, and there's nobody to talk to, not a brother or sister, I don't think, to sort of snap him out of that and go, dude, that's weird. That's weird. Nobody to tell him that kind of thing. So, and I'm sure it happens more often than not that a child is raised by itself and they have nobody to bounce stuff off of, and they may seem a little bit different than the rest of their group. But in this case, I think he must have seen violence from a very young age, and then that's when the other things that happen to you when you grow up as a child, when you start getting older and you reach puberty and all those things must have triggered that in him somehow, because he's not showing the things that he should be showing of being a psychopath, other than killing and eating people. That's what's so weird about this, you know. Everybody else would say, dude, and everybody else on here, we're going to catch so much flack from people saying, hey, I know he's a psychopath. But I tell you, I thought he probably was too until I watched this, because I didn't watch it. I don't like watching these things. We must watch all this stuff, Greg.
Yeah, no, this
You
is
know,
a job.
who likes doing that?
You can be a psychopath without ticking this magical list. We can just say the word psychopath, but it doesn't fit this magical perfect list, and the list is not perfect. So
Right. And that's Robert Hare's list.
Yes.
So yeah, we're gonna make sure we get him in there. But yeah, so I agree with you. Yeah, and some people go along, they never know they are one. That they never know they're a psychopath. A lot of they're nonviolent. They just live their life because they've been in a situation where people loved them, took care of them. They weren't exposed to violence or anything like that, or a lot of that. But I think in this case, there was so much going on. He just totally went inside and started to find things that pleased him or the things that he liked. And those triggers from him growing up, and when he hit hit puberty and became aware of those kind of things, I think that's how that got mixed in with those things at that section of his life. And I think that's what we're seeing. It's horrible. It's horrible all that happened.
Is it still there, Jeff? Does it ever go away?
In part, no, it never completely goes away. I'll probably have to live with it for the rest of my life. I wish it would go away. I wish there was some way to completely get rid of the compulsive thoughts, the feelings. It's not nearly so bad now that there's no avenues to actually act on it. But no, it never seems to go completely away.
So the thoughts still come to you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Are you different, Jeff, in terms of how you think back on all of this?
I would hope I'm different. I'm glad that I'm in a position now where I don't feel the compulsion to do these things. I'm glad that it's over. Any words I say to the victims' families are just going to seem trite and empty. I don't know how to express the regret, the sorrow, that I feel for what I've done for their sons. I can't find the right words.
All right, see you later, Dad.
After the interview at the prison, Dahmer casually showed us something a little unsettling.
Just a point of interest, that's the type of box.
This is the type of box?
He wanted us to know that box looked strikingly like the one his father had found, the one Jeffrey had used to hide body parts.
Thank you, Jeff.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.